Hello everyone. So in today's video we will be taking a look at some monster starter deck. Now when you start off the game provides you with an opening starter deck all on its own, and you can see it somewhat looks like this. These are the cards that are provided to you. As you can see, I'm missing some important cards, but we will look into these later. They're not that important. So when you start off the game, the deck that the game provides you will usually focus more on using Death Wish. Now what is Death Wish? Now Death Wish is an ability that is triggered when it is destroyed or moved from the battlefield to the graveyard. So when you take this card and it is destroyed by somebody, or in most cases which you will be destroying yourself, it will be what it will do, it will spawn another harpy in our game. So Death Wish is a really difficult thing to start with, in my opinion. It is actually very quite simple to understand. You place these cards, you use cards with consume, like this harpy, to consume the egg, so that it will gain the 3 points from the egg and also spawn the another harpy on the board. So that is technically how Death Wish works. It is often paired up with Carpace. So it's often paired up with Carpace, which actually is boosts an unit by 3 and gives it a shield. So the main idea behind Carpace is for cards like Wild Hunter Rider, Wild Hunt Rider, Wild Hunt Navigator. So these cards, what they do, when you have the unit with the highest value on the board, something like Ice Giant, Old Spear Tip, etc. These things will get a, for example, Dominance. These things will boost by 3 instead of 1. That is the idea behind the Carpace. So Carpace, and there is somewhat of a mismatch within the starter deck. So let's try building something that's much more synergetic, and the cards have more synchronizing between them. So the first change you want to do is choose Fruits of Ysgrith. Now, Fruits of Ysgrith, what it does, it spawns a Garnicora fruit. Alright, so this is one token card that appears on your board, and essentially it's doomed, meaning that it won't go into your graveyard. It will be destroyed if it is hit by something, and more importantly, it has Thrive. So Thrive, what happens is that whenever you play a card that is greater than this card, it will keep boosting. Alright, so that is the main thing about this card. However, one important thing to remember is that suppose your board, when you start your turn, the board does not have this card on your board. In that case, you can spawn another one. You destroyed it or he destroyed it, next turn you can spawn another one. So that is kind of the advantage of having this card with you. Alright, so now let us try build a deck around this. So we will be looking at some neutral cards to begin with. So Geralt is obviously a very useful card. It is very important to have it, as it will destroy a card that is 9 or above. So most of the times you won't have this in hand to remove anything that goes that builds. So oftentimes it is helpful to actually allow it to build that big. So oftentimes you will also have to be careful of creating cards that are bigger than 9. So more often than not, you will be facing people using Geralt on the Old Spear Tip. Next, we will have Thunderbolt. Thunderbolt is always a useful card. Obviously, we need a lock. You can carry one copy of Lacerate, but I am not sure how many people stack their rows. And of course, always have Lazarus Alza's Thunder. Now, Alza's Thunder is very useful for instant removal. You will see often playing cards where you will wish to remove immediately. And Alza's Thunder is very useful in such cases. Moving to monsters. So most of the golds are very useful. As you can see, I do not have one gold here. That is Abaya. However, I do not really need this card because it's more useful in Death Wish ability in Death Wish decks than in our deck, so it's fine. We'll go ahead and add all 3 of Old Spear Tip, Ozeril, Werewolf. And then we'll be adding Ghoul. We'll be adding our Sylvan Harper. And more lastly, we'll be adding Neckers. So, okay. So these are the starting cards you'll be adding. You can go ahead and add Ice Giants. However, if you have, we'll be adding 4 cards. Okay, 2 cards will be of provision, are going to cost you 80 scrap. Ice Giant is only 30, but will cost 80, and 2 will cost 30. So let's take a look at them. Go to own. So the first card we'll be looking at is Viran Warrior. Viran Warrior is a very useful card. It's only 30 provision. So that is, we can add this to our deck. The main advantage of Viran card is every time we destroy one of this Isgrit, it will boost itself by 1. That is the main advantage. Anytime we destroy anything with Self and Harpy, it will boost itself. Anytime we destroy anything on Alza's Thunder on our turn, it will boost itself. So that is the main advantage of having Viran Warrior in our deck. Next, we are going to have, just a second, to find the card. Yes, Predatory Dive. So what does Predatory Dive do? Each player destroys their lowest unit. So this is very important, as in we can use, so suppose there's some unit, or the player has just, the opponent has just played one big card. So what you can take advantage of, it by spawning, using this Fruits of Isgrit to produce a 1 point card. Use Predatory Dive to destroy it and the token. So this is very useful right in the starting, when you want to when they play some kind of big card right at the start. So that's why Predatory Dive is very useful. Next, we shall go ahead and add Hideous Feast. So this actually is an 80 scrap card, so it might be a little expensive, but it's very useful to have. Essentially, it gives you, for 5 provisions, it just gives you 6 points, which is very useful. Plus, it will also act as removal if there's any enemy unit with less than 3 points. Also, it boosts your allied unit by 3. Last but not least, we go with Griffin. Griffin is very useful because it's an 8 point card. However, you need to destroy an allied unit if you want to use this. That's where Fruits of Isgrit comes into picture. Fruits of Isgrit is very useful in, you create a card, use Griffin to destroy it, and then you will be able to play this card. The main advantage of this is with ghouls. You need to have a huge card in your graveyard if you want to consume it. So Griffin is one good option for us. So ghouls cannot consume gold cards, only Ozerils can. So that is why having Griffins is very useful in your deck. If you do not have Griffin, it's fine. You can go ahead with Ice Giants. That's only 30. Craft, and also it comes with a starter. I do not have it. Long reason short, and it will be very useful in your deck. So I'm going to go ahead and add this. Last but not least, let's go to the neutral, and we'll add Adrenaline Rush. Adrenaline Rush, when there's only one unit on your board, it boosts it by 8. So this is just an 8 point card, and you should always try to maintain one row that has only one unit on it to get the most out of it. And it's a very useful card, although it costs you 80, which is probably the only drawback of this. So if you want, you can use Ice Giants and instead have these 2 on your board. So Adrenaline Rush with Isgrit is straight up gives you 9 points right in the start, but we'll see how to add that. So let's go ahead and play a game to see how to use this card. Okay.
Any last words?
Let's see. So we got a Necker, which is good. We got Adrenaline Rush. We got a copy of one for each. Although I have two Alza's Thunder, so I don't need that. I'll mulligan that. Huh, good. We need a Viran Warrior also. And I think this hand is pretty good. Let's go try give it a try. So I'm going to need my Fruits of His Grith for our Predatory Dive and for Griffin. So I'm not going to spawn it immediately. If you don't have these two on your hand, it would be useful to spawn this and use your Adrenaline Rush immediately, but that is not the case for us. So I'm going to use Nectar. So they have spawned a lot of 1-point cards. So our Predatory Dive won't be that useful. So we'll save it for a later game or in case they eat up all these cards. So next, let us play a Viran Warrior. So you can see Thrive made them boost the cards. Okay, so it's going to hit one of our units. Let's just hope. Oh. So it destroyed one of our Thrives, which is fine. That shouldn't be an issue. So be careful when you're using Griffin. It should be on the same row. So if you place it somewhere here and try to hit that, it won't work. So Thrive, it was boosted by Thrive because we played an 8-point card and we destroyed one card, which is why we boosted this. Alright. So Manticore, this is interesting. So destroy the lowest enemy unit, which is very important. You need to understand this because most of the time what this creature does is it eats its own cards to get the most value out of it. So we'll have a lowest unit that is a 1-point card. And we'll use Alza's Thunder to destroy this Abaya. Should boost our enemy. So I think it's going to eat this now. No, that. Axe. It hit her. So there's no use for this, so I'm going to consume it. And chances are it might consume this, we will see. Oh yes, it's going to consume this. So there we should have actually waited on it. Okay, it's not going to eat that. No, it's not. It's going to kill our nectar. Oh, okay. Quite unfortunate there. I cannot do anything about that. So Griffin is the only card on this row. So let's use Adrenaline Rush to boost it. We'll use our tactical advantage on this. So that gives us 11 points. Start. Let's see. Okay, it's placed all great. Okay. So let's go ahead and use Thunderbolt. That gives us a 5 points start. This damage this Cellophane half and boost our Viran Warrior. At this point we can just pass, there's no point in this. We cannot destroy any of its lowest units, so we'll be losing mostly what you can say, value with this card. And Ghoul currently our thing has only 1-point units in it, so it's pretty useless to play this, so we'll just pass, it's fine. Okay, so we managed to actually exhaust all of its deck to just surpass us this round. Again, it's no problem to lose a round. You can always win the next round. Main thing to keep is you should always have more cards. Try to keep more cards or end in even. That is always an important play. Actually, this deck is fine. This hand is fine. I'm going to keep it. So let's see if it decides to play or pass. Okay, it decides to play. So Ancient foglets are one of the most annoying things because we cannot use our predatory dive unless it consumes it. So let's do one thing. Let's create one spirit and consume it.
Come to me.
I think we'll hold on to our predatory dive and go ahead and play this. Okay, played all the cards. Okay. So let's go ahead and use our predatory dive. So this thing is doomed, so it won't be coming back, but we'll mostly be hitting this. So let's do that. And get this. The main reason is I wanted to save on these two. One has Thrive, another has Consume, so I do not want to use these two cards right away. Save it for the next round. Okay, we got a good Necker, a Lock. Okay, Ozril. Okay, I think this is easy win. There shouldn't be any trouble with this. In fact, we can go ahead and use this also. Thrive. Okay, so now what we are going to do is we are going to lock it.
Naivety is a fool's blessing.
Glees is one of the most annoying cards in my opinion, because he keeps, anytime they play a card with Death Wish, it'll get triggered instantly. So let us lock it.
Golden dragon.
Okay, I don't think he has any Death Wish cards, or rather in this case it. Too bad, it would actually have been.
Trickery. Treachery.
Okay, so if Glees was open, he would have gotten additional 5 points, although that wouldn't have done anything important, useful. We can pass right now, but I'll show you how we can use ghouls. We can hit on this, and we're going to consume our Griffin. Okay, that's a lot of points. So now, if you look at our graveyard, you can see it has a old spear tip. However, thing with Ozril, it can consume even from opponent's graveyard, and they have a old spear tip of 12 points. So I think the option is easy. We play it on melee, we get the 12 points. These are 12 points. There it is. And that is it. So as you can see, so that is pretty much it. Right. Fruits of His Grit is very good for your starter deck. It helps you into it. So as you go along, once you get a handle of all the mechanics, you will pretty much be creating your own. I wouldn't call this the best starter deck, but I thought this would be very useful for you to be using, so I created it. Hope you guys liked it. Hope you guys will try it out. Give your thoughts. Thank you.